to the team over there at Surfboard. My name is Bill Lee, and I'm currently looking for my third co-op search. This is just something that I put together for your take-home project or coding challenge, and I'm going to give you guys a quick breakdown and a quick demonstration. So, the challenge that I was presented with is to implement a product for users to run investor meetings. So, right off the top of my head, I wasn't too familiar with what investor meetings were, but I assumed that if I ever had to sit down in front of an investor and present to them my company, it would have to be either in person, and if it's not, you know it better be either a Zoom meeting or some sort of audio chat. I just could not imagine having to text messages to my investor. Um, don't get me wrong, like written communication is very important, but it definitely is not going to replace any sort of meetings like that. So, um, to sort of fix that problem, I decided to implement a little bit of a web chat where you can invite your investor into your meeting room and then present to them the agenda that you have on the right, which is just much more basic. So I'm going to give a quick demonstration of how the video chat works. You have your username over here, and you have a button that basically allows you to copy a unique ID into your clipboard that you can then send to other people, which in this case would be the investors, and they can make a call by pasting your ID over here and simply calling you. So what that looks like is I copied my ID by clicking the button, pasting it over here. I'm going to give it a quick call, and what you're going to see is basically myself calling myself because this is running on localhost and I don't have anyone else to make the calls for me. So there you go. I click a button. Via WebSockets, a notification pops up. It says Bill Lee is calling you. You have the options to either answer the call or hang up. I'm going to demonstrate the hang up function first. The notification disappears. I give it another call. This time I can answer, and voila. Beautiful. So now you sort of see two of myself. Not a great demonstration, but in a real use case, this would be you and your investor. So I think that there's definitely no replacing a video call in terms of an investor meeting. I think that this is by far the best method of communication, and that's what I decided to implement. Now, the second thing that you guys said was crucial in this solution was an agenda, which to me, again, if I were to present an investor meeting, I would probably have some sort of a deck or a PowerPoint. I think that's sort of the de facto standard right now. And so I really tried to mimic that in the form of an agenda. So each agenda topic has a title, a time estimation, and a text description. And I sort of designed that in a slide format, as you can see. So, yep, this is a fully functional agenda. We can see that while we hover over the different topics, we have options to the right, which just basically mimics the most basic CRUD functionality. We can edit the topics, we can delete the topics, we can add new topics, and we can query all of our topics. So if we click the I logo over here, it sort of takes us into that specific topic where now we can see the text description and also the potential for an image. So just a quick demonstration for the CRUD functionality here. I can add another topic, test. We can do, let's say, an hour. This is a very lengthy topic, and I'm going to leave the image blank just for now. We add it. We can see that we have a new topic over here at the bottom. If we look at insomnia and we query all of our topics, right over here at the very bottom, we can see that it was added to our database. And just like that, the investors should be able to see that as well. So if we click into, sorry, I think we already clicked into next step. I want to demonstrate just the edit functionality a little bit. So basically the exact same model as the add topic pops up, this time with all of our values already entered. And if I just want to copy this image real quick and paste it into our topic image, we can see that this change was actually reflected. And if we click into it, we can now see our picture, which is, I think, very cool. So the sort of idea behind this concept was that the agenda to the right sort of serves as an overview of all your topics. So at a first glance, everyone can know exactly how long the meeting is going to take and what topics are going to be covered. Then you can click into the specific topics as you're sort of giving the presentation, and that just sort of serves again as sort of like a deck or a PowerPoint. So that's basically everything that I came prepared for you guys today. I do want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the code and some of the decisions I made in building this. So the technologies used on the front end was basically just React, and I also used a CSS framework. I used Chakra UI. I think that just at its bare bones, the UI definitely does look the nicest. And yeah, I definitely really believe in creating beautiful and elegant and easy to use software. So I did put a little bit more effort, just in having the buttons nicely colored, having when you hover them, something happens. Just making it look nice in general, which I think is very important. For the backend, I actually have two servers currently running simultaneously. One for the basic CRUD functionality for the agenda, and the second one, it's an Express server to sort of run the meetings that we sort of have on the left over here. So to build the agenda, I used MongoDB as the server. I used Express and Node to help create my queries and mutations. It was very, very basic CRUD functionality. I assumed if I was storing more than just the topics for the agenda, for example, if I also had a user, if I was also storing data about our users, about the investors, things like that, and I have to connect each topic belongs to a specific user, this investor has permission to see it, blah, 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 that would make things much more complicated. But because I am only storing the topics, I only have the basic, post, get, delete, and put options for our topics over here. And yeah, for the video chat on the left, I used WebRTC as well as WebSockets to have the actual notifications where you can accept or decline the call. And then WebRTC is obviously, I think, by far the simplest and most bare bones API for creating video chats. So this was my first time working with it, but a few Google searches, a couple tutorials here and there, it really made my life a lot easier. And the last thing that I did want to talk about would be the next steps. So like what takes what I have right now and turns it into a sort of a finished product. Because if you think about it, if this was deployed, you could actually make calls to other people via their ID. However, this is still far from what I believe to be a finished app. So I guess the first thing right now is that the investors or whoever is on the other side of the meeting, they cannot actually see the changes that I make on the agenda. And what I mean by that is if I click into, for example, the next steps page, and I click into it, yes, I can see the information here, and you can see the information here only because you are watching a screen recording of me. But the investors on the other side, they would also have to manually click into the same topic that you're talking about. So that's sort of the equivalent of me clicking next on my PowerPoint slide and asking that the investors do the same thing on their side. They have to click next while I click next, which that just really ruins the experience of a meeting. They should be able to see exactly what I'm seeing on the screen without touching anything. And I think just one more thing off the top of my head that I would add to make this sort of a more finished application would be the ability to sort of go to the next slide without having to go back and click it manually on the agenda. For example, if I could just have a left arrow and a right arrow that I could manually click to take next slide, previous slide, and then another option to go back to the agenda, I think that would just make the presentation a little more seamless. But with that being said, yeah, this is what I have prepared for you guys. I really hope you liked it, and I really look forward to hearing from you guys.